2025 season. Yes, it's the Red and Gold Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Boda Box Wine. Kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Boda Box, the ultimate tailgate wine. Boda Box is the premium boxed wine that wins with wine critics. Boda Box, this is how we Boda. Please drink responsibly. Sponsored by Boda Box Vineyards in Manteca, California. I am your host, Jack Johnson. Same thing as last year. Dylan Michaels is producing this thing. Caden Spruill also helping out on this Saturday night. A very late Saturday night as the Chiefs kicked off their first preseason game in Glendale against the Cardinals, and they fall 20-17. Now, we know this with preseason football. The focus is going to be health. Yes, it's great to see these guys back out on the field. It's great to see Patrick Mahomes sling the football. But at the end of the day, you wanted to see maybe a few snaps from Patrick Mahomes and the starters. Get them off the field, get them in the baseball caps, get them in the T-shirt and the shorts. I know they stayed around in their pads, but that's what you're hoping for. Those guys can get a few reps in, and then they can go on with the rest of their evening, cheering on teammates that may or may not make the team. But as for tonight's game, they didn't get out of it completely clean. They did have a pretty significant injury. We'll hear from Andy Reid here shortly. But Deon Bush was carted off the field with what looked to be a left leg injury. That happened in the first half of play. But you could tell that Deon Bush really knew that it was serious. Had the towel over his head and everything. And that's the tough part about preseason football as well, because you're not always 100% sure who it is right off the bat, especially when you get into the second, third, and fourth quarter of a preseason game. You may not always be as familiar with the numbers out there. And I'm sure we'll get the full breakdown here from head coach Andy Reid pretty shortly. We'll know anybody else that might have popped up on the injury report, the injury update for them. But still tonight, despite a 20-17 loss, there were some positives to take away. So the positives would be that some of the guys fighting for a number 3 and number 4 spot on the depth chart, they played pretty well. Robert Tonyan's one of those guys that, man, you talk about making some noise in a preseason game, in a tight end room that is already locked up for the number 1 spot and the number 2 spot, but the number 3 spot, it is pretty open. Might be Jared Wiley. You go with more of the younger upside, or you go with somebody that was a legitimate red zone threat for the Green Bay Packers a handful of years ago. But Tonyan was great. I really liked what I saw from Robert Tonyan in the second half. It seemed that he and Bailey Zappi were very much on the same page. Couple of big third down conversions. And in fact, tonight, when you look at the box score, he led the Chiefs in receiving by 25 yards. Robert Tonyan was targeted 4 times, 3 for 49, had a long of 20. Then Nico Remigio was second, 2 for 24. Tyquan Thornton, who we've heard a lot about in camp, had 1 catch for 15 yards. Jalen Royals, another training camp darling, he had 3 for 14, but also was targeted a team-high 5 times in this game. Elijah Mitchell had 1 for 13. You also had one heck of a catch from Jason Brownlee. We'll be hearing the audio coming up here in a few minutes. But that's also the fun part about games like this. As I'm sitting there watching Patrick Mahomes get the ball very early on because the Cardinals fumbled the opening kickoff, it's this, I would say it was a fade route. It was one of those jump balls, if you will, really well placed. But, man, it was an acrobatic catch from Jason Brownlee. And I thought for the moment that it could have been Tyquan Thornton. I hadn't really seen the numbers just yet. Thought it might be Tyquan Thornton. Thought it might be Jalen Royals. I was pretty far from the TV when I saw the catch, but I knew it was an incredible one. And then I saw Brownlee, and I thought, hadn't heard his name that much. But that's exactly what you get out of preseason football. You get Patrick Mahomes throwing passes to guys like Jason Brownlee, trying to make an impact to make this roster, and if not, catch on somewhere else. That's another important part about these games for the guys that are getting in either early on in the game or they're getting in the third or the fourth quarter. It's not just a showcase for the team they're playing for. It's a showcase for everybody else in the NFL. But I just love the stat line tonight for Patrick Mahomes. He threw one ball, and that was the ball. 1 for 1, 1 yard, 1 touchdown. Bailey Zappi was 8 for 17. He really struggled in this game. He was 8 for 17, 47.1 completion percentage, 70 yards on the night, 4.1 yards per attempt, 2 picks, and was sacked once. Really liked what I saw from Gardner Minshew. Thought he was pretty efficient. Thought he led a really good drive when he ended up scampering in the second score for the Chiefs on the night. And the only 2 touchdowns they got was the Jason Brownlee catch, and then you also had the Gardner Minshew rushing touchdown to give the Chiefs their 13th and 14th point of the night. But Minshew was 6 of 19. Chris Oladokun, who was the last quarterback to come into the game for Kansas City, he was 6 of 13 for 39 yards. But the reason that Minshew stood out to me a little bit more is that he actually was throwing the ball down the field a little bit. You weren't getting that too much from Bailey Zappi or Oladokun, and when you did, it was not very accurate. Now, in terms of the guys on the ground, or at least picking up their yards on the ground, Oladokun did have 1 rush for 26 yards. Not much from everybody else. You had 3 carries for 15 yards from Carson Steele. You had 2 for 12 from Kareem Hunt, 3 for 10 for Elijah Mitchell. Rashard Smith, the kid out of SMU, he had 4 carries for 10 yards. Isaiah Pacheco had a very impressive angry run on the first drive of the game. It was his only carry of the night, 1 for 8. Gardner Minshew, again, had the rushing touchdown. He had 3 carries for 4 yards, and Zappi had 2 carries for 2 yards in this one. So nobody really popped in this game. There were moments and flashes where you thought that was pretty efficient. And I thought it was the perfect opening sequence for the starters. It was the fumble on the kickoff, and then they're already in the red zone. I don't need to see a full drive from this group, get 1 or 2 plays in here, and then you're done for the rest of the night. We can see Gardner Minshew, Chris Oladokun, and Bailey Zappi get this done the rest of the way. On the defensive side of the football, they did have some guys that I thought popped a little bit. Janarius Robinson had a pretty impressive sack in the second half of this one, and as I'm watching that, I'm trying to get familiar with the defensive line and all the numbers that will be involved in preseason football. Much easier once we do one of these shows here in a few weeks when it'll be Chiefs and Chargers on Friday night. But third and fourth quarter, you're having guys that you haven't heard much of in camp, and that was one name I hadn't heard much of in camp. But a very impressive play on that, was able to beat the right tackle pretty easily, and then was able to chase down Arizona's quarterback at the time for the sack, and then later on forced the punt. But some of the numbers for the defense there and guys that actually got out there, you had the sack from Janarius Robinson, and he was the only Chief to get a sack tonight. You had 2 solo tackles from Jerry Tillery, and he's somebody that is working, in that rotation for the nose tackle spot. We will see if he does make this team, but he did get a little bit of run out there. You also had Nick Bolton out there for a little bit. He registered 2 tackles. Malik Herring had 3 tackles in this one. Jalen Watson and Cochran also had 2 apiece there. Shamari Connor had 2. Felix Enudike-Uzama, who was out there in the fourth quarter as well, he did have a tackle in this one. Cam Jones, had 4 tackles in this one. Chris Rowland Wallace had 2 tackles in this one. And for the secondary, you had a pass deflection from Najee Johnson, though I did think he got picked on a little bit in one of those drives before halftime when the Cardinals went ahead for good in that game. But he did have a pass deflection in this one. Jaden Hicks had an interception tonight. I thought he was really impressive early on in this game. And then you also had some great plays in the secondary from Noel Williams. Noel Williams actually had some pretty good moments on special teams as well. And when Deion Bush went down, I wasn't quite sure if it was Noel Williams or if it was Deion Bush, excuse me. So that's another part to this, and getting through these preseason games and knowing who's out there, knowing who's on special teams, knowing who's rotating in rather quickly. That's the grind of trying to follow along in preseason football. It's great to see football back on the screen, but with these guys tonight, I thought really for the starters, which is what you want to see, I thought you saw some really good things from the starters. And guys that were playing late in the game, what I ask for, not that it really matters what I'm asking for, but what I'm looking for is keeping the game close. We see preseason football kind of spiral out of control at times. I didn't think the quarterback play was all that good after Gardner Minshew left, of course, because Oladokin was not very sharp in this game, and Bailey Zappi was not very sharp. And then in the secondary, the deeper you got into that game, just didn't see too many good reps out there. But I was happy to see Ashton Gelati out there. We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons wasn't out there very long, but nothing negative about what I saw from him. Jeffrey Bossa was out there a few times. Also saw him get some snaps on special teams. He registered 3 tackles in this game. Chris Roland Wallace is another guy that I feel can get into that rotation a little bit. We'll see where Christian Fulton's at when the Chiefs break camp and they head toward the regular season. But him being set back with that injury, slowing things down a little bit easily, or I should say trying to ease him along, that has opened up an opportunity once again for Chris Roland Wallace, as it did last year. We saw Chris Roland Wallace, due to some of those injuries, get meaningful snaps, and tonight, another opportunity to get meaningful snaps and try to earn a spot in that rotation. We know that Spags can rotate those guys a lot. We have the Trent McDuffies who are going to play 95 to 100% of the snaps. You would imagine when Fulton is healthy, he's going to get a lot of snaps. Same thing goes for Jalen Watson, but there is going to be some competition for that 4th and 5th cornerback spot. Will that be Noel Williams? Will that be Chris Roland Wallace? Will that be Josh Williams? Somebody that's always been falling down the depth chart, feels like over the last handful of seasons, but he's another guy that's going to need to pop in the preseason. But for the safety group, saw some really good stuff from Jaden Hicks. Did see some good stuff from Roland Wallace. Hit and miss with Najee Johnson, if I'm being quite honest with you. But overall, what you hope for in these games, some good competition. You want the game to come down to the final minute or two so you can have those guys out there playing in pressure-filled moments, whether it be the defense or it be the offense. And tonight, the Chiefs had an opportunity to try to go down there and tie and take the lead. Couldn't get it done. Wasn't really a favorable spot for Chris Oladokin, but they end up punting. Defense, pressure-filled spot, 3rd and 1 with the game on the line. They couldn't get the stop. And the Cardinals picked up the first down and then were able to ice the game the rest of the way. They were able to kneel on it, and the Cardinals moved to 1-0 in preseason. The Chiefs go to 0-1. Up next, they will be taking on the Seattle Seahawks. That'll be next Friday, 9 p.m. kickoff. So a little bit of a programming note here. We will not be doing a post-game show for the Seattle game. Tonight, we are only going to 11, so just a quick recap here, kind of giving you the box score, giving you some audio, some interviews from tonight's game. So here's what we're going to do. Take a quick break here, but before we hit our commercials here, want to tell you about the play of the game, which, surprise, surprise, we have to acknowledge that great catch by Brownlee. It was the only throw that Patrick Mahomes made on the night, and it was just right on the money and an acrobatic catch. So without further ado, here was our play of the game. Mahomes to Brownlee.
1st and goal from the 1. Mahomes going to throw it to the end zone, 1-on-1. Does he hold on? Yes. Touchdown, Chiefs. Jason Brownlee gets the 6.
And there it was. Patrick Mahomes to Jason Brownlee was our play of the game, which is brought to you by Central Bank. Join the best in banking when you open an account with Central Bank. Central Bank, strong roots, endless possibilities, member FDIC. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll play some interviews for you right here on the Red and Gold Postgame Show on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Minshew.
That's right. Gardner Minshew made the right choice, which is brought to you by Choice Solutions. Make the right choice today by going to choicesolutions.com for their trusted IT consulting and managed services. Takeaways I had from tonight. Robert Tonyan, really good. Harrison Butker, really good. Saw some good snaps from Jalen Royals, Tyquan Thornton, Brownlee, and that's good to have some competition for special teams, more than anything. I'm not expecting Jason Brownlee to be taking somebody's spot, top 3, top 4 in the wide receiver room, but there's still that uncertainty with Rashee Rice. You want to make sure that Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, everybody's healthy leaving camp. And then we can be discussing punt returners. We can be discussing the number 5s and the number 6s on the depth chart. But Nico Remigio had some good snaps, made some good plays. But the star of tonight for me would be Robert Tonyan. He just was. Very impressed with what I saw, and that tight end room is very deep. It's going to be pretty solid competition, I believe, in the next 2 games between Tonyan and Jared Wiley. Other takeaways I had. I was not sold on the play from Kingsley Suamataia. The left guard spot struggled a little bit early on. In fact, there was one play that I went back and watched, saw it on Twitter, where he kind of got tossed to the side. And that just simply can't happen at that spot, at that position, facing that level of talent. We saw it happen last year when he was at left tackle getting tossed around in week 2 when he got benched. And now he's at left guard because Josh Simmons is there, and Josh Simmons looked pretty sturdy, looked pretty solid. It's also preseason football, which is why we can't overreact to it. Unfortunately, we got 30 minutes to give you a reaction to this game, and that's what I caught. So maybe I'm overreacting to Robert Tonyan, and then I'm overreacting to the play of Kingsley Suamataia. Got to be better, though, going into the next week, and here's why. He does not have that spot locked down. Juwan Taylor's got that spot locked down at right tackle as long as he's healthy. Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, you already know the answer there. Josh Simmons, I don't see anybody else getting those number 1 reps in camp. Left guard, it's either Kingsley or it's Jalen Moore. And if Kingsley can't handle that spot in the preseason, he really doesn't have the track record to just fall back on, well, it is preseason football. Now, if Juwan Taylor, even though he struggled in a Chiefs uniform from time to time, more than from time to time, but if he had a bad preseason, I'm not benching him for Wanye Morris or for Jalen Moore. So those are some of the takeaways that I had from tonight's game, at least off the top of my head. I could have a list of 10 to 15 things, but the ones that stood out the most, and I'm sure for a lot of you stood out a lot, Tonyan and Kingsley Suamataia. Do want to give some credit to the play of Gardner Minshew. You heard him for the Who Made the Right Choice, which was brought to you by Choice Solutions. Thought he was pretty efficient, and I believe he can be one of the better backup quarterbacks the Chiefs have ever had in the Patrick Mahomes era. I also hope we don't see Gardner Minshew at all this season, unless that game is a blowout. I did promise this before the break, so let's get to these interviews. Trent McDuffie had the chance to get on the mic, give a little bit of a breakdown of the offseason for him, for the game itself, just everything involved with this season starting. So without further ado, here was Trent McDuffie during the game.
Chiefs Kingdom obviously waving him on. It's all pro cornerback for the Chiefs. Trent McDuffie, you're pumped. You said 2 picks in this game. We're starting off hot. How do you feel about the game thus far?
I love it. I mean, the defense is showing out. Offense is putting up some good plays, but big thing, like you said, 2 takeaways, that's everything. And we started the game off with a forced fumble, so these are looking good.
Season 4 for you now. How much has the game slowed down versus when you first joined Spags defense?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just the players that are around me. You know, the communication is really a family out there on the field. So when you go out there, the trust, commitment to each down, and honestly, just knowing what Spags likes to call is everything. I mean, that man's a genius. So once I was able to unlock what his mind was like, man, everything slowed down for me.
In Spags, we trust, always. But I did hear the defensive motto this year is be bold, be courageous. Why that message? What does that mean to your unit?
Yeah, really, honestly, for us, it's we've done all the hard things. You know, we've gone to the Super Bowl, we've won it, we've lost, we've gone through all these trials and tribulations. So at this point within this defense, it's just go out there and be relentless. You know, rely on your technique, rely on each other out there, and go out there and have fun and make sure you do it with confidence.
Speaking of confidence, of course, UDBs are always a little bit confident, but you've gone up against some of the best receivers in the league. Who's been your toughest cover in training camp?
Oh, I'm going to have to give that to my boy Xavier. You know, yeah, he got that speed, but his routes, his timing with Patrick, just everything they got going on, it's going to be special year 2 for him.
Special, as always, for you to join us. Thanks so much for stopping by, Trent.
Appreciate you.
That's great to hear about Worthy. Trent McDuffie's toughest cover in camp, Xavier Worthy, finished the season so strong. And even though we don't want to bring up the Super Bowl, that was the last time you heard us on the Red and Gold postgame show. So had over 100 yards in the game. It was mop-up time, and it was garbage time. But still, to be able to build off of that, to get that praise from the number one cornerback on your team and one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, great to hear from Trent McDuffie, and great to hear on Xavier Worthy. Let's also hear from Worthy as well. He also had the chance to get on the mic, so here is Xavier Worthy.
Down here on the field with second-year receiver Xavier Worthy. Like the guys up in the booth said, in your rookie season, you led the wide receiving room in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Ahead of year 2, what's your focus this season?
Man, just being the best player I could be and being the best teammate I could be. I mean, the guys out here, I was just out here a year ago, so just seeing him out here just is a real moment.
Now, Patrick's been pretty outspoken that this season he wants to go back to being an attacking offense, pushing the ball down the field and allowing you guys to go out and make contested catches. How do you feel this wide receiver room is poised to do that?
Man, I feel like this is one of the best wide receiver rooms I've ever been around. We got guys that could go get it. We got Tyquan Thornton, we got Juju, Hollywood, Rasheed, obviously you guys know, but anybody could be open deep at any point in time.
Now, iron sharpens iron. You go up against your defense every single day. Trent McDuffie was here with me earlier. I asked him, who's been your toughest cover in camp? He said it was you. He gave you your flowers. If you had to choose in camp what unit is winning, offense or defense, who you choosing?
Like you said, iron sharpened iron, but I ain't gonna lie, we got it right now. We got it right now.
No pressure on that one. A shout out to the offense here. Final thoughts from you, for the 2025 team. This is your message to Chiefs Kingdom, the very first time they can hear from you ahead of this year. What is your message to all the fans?
Man, be ready. It's going to be fireworks. Be ready.
Fireworks all around. Fireworks, thanks so much for joining as well. Xavier Worthy, everyone.
There was Xavier Worthy a little bit earlier on in the game tonight. Don't need to see much from him in preseason. As I keep reiterating, as I'll keep echoing, just get through these next 2 games healthy. It was unfortunate to see that with Deion Bush having the left leg injury, having the cart and towel over his head. Just never want to see that. I don't care if it is the starter or the 4th stringer. You never want to see that for these guys that have been working so hard in training camp, have been working hard all off season to have it cut short in the first preseason game of the night. But Xavier Worthy, probably not going to see much from him over the next 2 games. But probably we'll still get some of those viral videos coming out of St. Joe throughout the next few weeks. All right, we're running short on time here. So before we hit our final break of the show, man, the Chiefs got out to a quick start tonight. If you were an Arizona fan and you were at the game and that was your introduction to preseason football, all you could say is, thank goodness it's preseason football, because they fumbled the opening kickoff. The Chiefs would recover it and then go on to score moments later. Patrick Mahomes to Jason Brownlee, who we had as the play of the game. But our sweet play of the game was that fumble recovery.
Bobbled, and here comes Dortch. Dortch gets hit at the 20, breaks the tackle, flag comes in, and it appears the ball may have come out. Hold on, everybody. We have a turnover on the opening kick. Waiting for a signal. All the Chiefs are saying it's Chiefs football, but I haven't seen an official give the signal, and here we go. What a start. The Chiefs on the opening kick, knock it loose, get the football.
And that was the sweet play of the game, and it's brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. And you can enjoy a treat and give to a great cause. The 87 Concrete, crafted by Travis Kelce himself, consists of vanilla frozen custard, Oreo, cookie dough, and cream caramel. A portion of the proceeds go to support Travis Kelce's 87 and Running Foundation. Top your day with a smile at Andy's. We'll take our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll give you our defensive play of the game and send you off into the night after the Chiefs' first preseason football game is in the books. They fall in Glendale 20-17. Back on Sports Radio 810 WHB after this.
First and 10. Murray, play action, and that is picked up. Chiefs coming the other way. Jaden Hicks with the interception. 13 yards on the return, and the second-year man out of Washington State.
He must have heard me talking about him up here.
And Jaden Hicks' interception was the defensive play of the game. Kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Bodabox, the ultimate tailgate wine. Bodabox is the premium boxed wine that wins with wine critics. Bodabox. This is how we Boda. Please drink responsibly. Sponsored by Bodabox Vineyards, Manteca, California. It was reported that Deion Bush sustained a torn left Achilles tendon. Awful, awful news. Andy Reid just confirmed it. So now we finally have the word after Deion Bush was carted off the field tonight. Chiefs fall to the Arizona Cardinals 20-17. 2 more to go. They will have Seattle next Friday night, a very late kickoff, 9 p.m. So if you are just a football junkie like Dylan and myself, I guess you could say, and you're going to be staying up till 1 a.m., well, you can enjoy the Chiefs taking on the Seahawks. Probably see more of Gardner Minshew, see more of Bailey Zappi, Chris Oladokin, maybe some more Brashard Smith, hell, maybe some more Jason Brownlee. Only one catch tonight, but that's going viral. That was our play of the game. Great stuff. Acrobatic to catch a pass from Patrick Mahomes. That might get you some phone calls if you're not making the Chiefs out of camp. But that was one impressive play. Even though the Chiefs fall tonight, again, 20-17. They'll be back next weekend against Seattle. But until our third preseason game, you take it easy, Kansas City.